The idea of saving starts early. You're told to be careful with money, to avoid unnecessary spending, to always put something aside. And this advice is not wrong. In fact, it's useful because saving teaches discipline, it teaches control, it teaches you not to lose money carelessly. But here's where things become confusing because over time, people begin to treat saving as the main strategy for building wealth, not just a habit, but the plan itself. And that's where the misunderstanding begins. Saving has a limit, and it's not always obvious at first. Because when you start saving, you feel progress. Your balance increases. You feel more secure, more in control. But what most people don't stop to think about is this: your ability to save is directly tied to your income. And your income, in most cases, is tied to your time. So no matter how disciplined you are, no matter how consistent you try to be, there is only so much you can set aside. Imagine someone who earns a fixed monthly income. They save a portion every month. They do everything right. But after a year, or even a few years, their savings have grown slowly, not dramatically, because the system they're operating in has a natural ceiling, and that ceiling is difficult to break through. Now there's another layer most people don't think about, and that is time. More specifically, what time does to money, because money that sits still does not remain the same. It loses value, quietly, gradually, without making any noise. Something that costs a certain amount today will likely cost more in the future. And that means even though your savings are increasing, what those savings can actually buy may not be increasing at the same rate. So in a way, you're moving forward, but also standing still. And sometimes even moving backwards without realizing it. Saving money creates a certain kind of comfort. It gives you a sense of control, a feeling of safety, and that feeling is powerful because once you feel safe, you stop looking for alternatives. You stop questioning your approach. You stop thinking about growth. Instead, you focus on protecting what you already have. And over time, that mindset becomes your default. You avoid risk. You avoid uncertainty. You avoid anything that feels unfamiliar. And while that might protect you from loss, it also protects you from growth. Let's look at this in a simple way. Imagine two people. They earn the same amount of money. They live similar lives. They both understand the importance of saving. The first person saves consistently. They keep their money in a safe place. They avoid risk. They focus on stability. The second person also saves, but they don't stop there. They begin to think about how that money can be used. They look for ways to invest it, to grow it, to turn it into something that produces more. At first, there is no visible difference. Both seem responsible. Both seem disciplined. But over time, their paths begin to separate. One remains stable, the other begins to grow. And eventually, that difference becomes impossible to ignore. Saving is important, but not for the reason most people think. Saving is not meant to make you wealthy. It is meant to give you stability. It's there for emergencies, for short-term needs, for moments when life becomes unpredictable. It gives you breathing room, it gives you time, but it is not the engine of wealth. It is the foundation. And when people confuse the foundation for the entire structure, they end up building very little. Wealth is built differently. It comes from growth, from movement, from putting money into things that have the potential to expand, assets, investments, opportunities, things that continue to produce value over time, even when you are not actively working. And this requires a different mindset, one that is willing to think beyond safety, one that understands that money needs to move, to multiply. And this is where most people never go because they stop at saving. Saving money is a good habit. It protects you, it gives you stability, but it is not enough. Not if your goal is to build real wealth. Because wealth is not created by holding money still, it is created by putting it to work. And maybe the real question is not how much am I saving, but what is my money doing? While I'm not paying attention, if this changed the way you see things, you'll want to pay attention to what comes next. So stay here for more.